Her name is Andrea Hendrick. She's the owner of Step Ahead Salon in Plumstead. But life hasn't just been this easy for you. You did not just wake up one morning and decide you are now going to open up a salon. There was quite a big thing that had happened before that. You actually went to Pollsmoor Prison.
Yes, that's correct. Firstly, thank you so much for having me on your show. Very
welcome,
blessed.
Welcome.
I landed up in Pollsmoor, yes, for 4 years.
Why?
There was a series of charges, but the main was drug dealing. I didn't actually deal in drugs. I was just caught with quite a large amount on me, and over a certain amount you charged as a dealer. Best thing that ever happened to me, because if that didn't happen, I would be dead today, and I wouldn't be sitting here having a story to tell to touch other people's lives.
How did you get to that point where you can say it was the best thing to ever happen to you to be sent to Pollsmoor Prison?
Well, firstly, you can be very lost and in a prison and not be within the confines of the building. And when I realized, sure, this is it, had a God moment, he totally touched my life. I was as free as a bird when I took responsibility and accountability for my crime. And then you're free. And then you start healing. So, yeah, it felt great.
You were in prison for 4 years
Yes.
in total. Your sentence was 9 years.
Yes.
Okay, so you, after 4 years, but before we get to the 4 years, after a year, you would have been going out in parole, right?
No, that is not how it works. You normally do. It depends how you're sentenced. Firstly, it depends what your crime is. Depends on good behavior. But normally you need to do between half and 2/3 of your sentence.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. So that's what happened. And at
Yes.
one stage you could have come out earlier.
Yes, I could have. There was a technicality. My eldest brother and my whole family, even though they were so angry with me, wanted ultimately just to get me out. Who wouldn't? And arrived with an advocate. And there was a technicality. They would have appealed and they would have won. And I could have left. And I just had to sign the paper. And I said no.
Why?
Because at that stage, I was healing my dad's death. I'd also given a little girl up for adoption during a very bad marriage. I would have ruined her life. I'd healed that. I started to feel whole again, and it wasn't finished. I didn't want to leave unfinished.
Life in Pollsmoor Prison. What is that like?
You know, I only have fabulous memories.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
And with that, you are not saying that people should do things to go to Pollsmoor Prison.
Absolutely
Of course not.
No,
Of course not.
But you know, we all think that it's just this horrendous dungeon and you get treated so badly and you just get left to rot in a cell. That's not the case. There are some super fabulous people that are dedicated to transforming people's lives in there. And I was blessed enough to meet a few of them who pretty much reared me into changing my life.
How old were you at the time when you went to prison?
I was 26.
26 years old. And that's, a lot of people say that's the prime of your life. It's the best time in your life.
I suppose it was. I was jawing up a storm and doing all things with drug dealers and such. So, yeah, I suppose it was like the highlight of my life, but making bad choices, bad mistakes. And God took me out and went, sorry, my girl, but you're going to end up dead here. I need you for other things.
Ah, I like this. We have Andrea Hendrick, ex-inmate of Pollsmoor Prison, in studio. You know, she's changed her life. She's turned her life around after going to prison, and she actually credits Pollsmoor Prison for this. I have Andrea Hendrick in studio, ex-inmate of Pollsmoor Prison. She now is the owner of a salon, and very powerful story indeed. Now, very quickly, just before the break, we spoke about what had led to you going to prison. You had a lot of drugs, and then it's seen as drug dealing, even though you weren't dealing in drugs. You went to prison.
Yes.
And you said if not having gone to prison, you probably would have been dead today. And there are so many other messages coming through. 5908 saying, I love the fact that she said she took responsibility for her actions. A strong, positive woman indeed, and a role model to many of our daughters who succumb to peer pressure. You rock, Andrea, and may you go from strength to strength. So then you come out of Pollsmoor Prison.
Yes.
And we know that people judge those who have gone to prison, regardless of the story, regardless of what it is that they know. They judge you.
Yes.
How was that?
You know, I think I suffered internally more myself. You come out and you think that the entire world knows where you were. It's quite secure, you know, excuse the pun, inside Pollsmoor. So you're not exposed to life things. So little things like I would always have 2-minute noodles for dinner in the evening from the shop. I went to Pick n Pay and that's all I knew what to buy because I felt like I was having an anxiety attack inside Pick n Pay. So for 2 weeks, I felt like that. And I'll be honest, part of me wanted to go back because it felt safe there. But you have to get on with your life because you can't go back.
Yes.
And I believe that's why a lot of people recommit their crime, because they just can't make it outside. It's very sad. There's no support system. But then I decided, you know what, enough of this. And I just decided to be open. So whatever job I went and applied for, I would just say, I have a criminal record. I have never been turned down. I have never been judged. Nobody, when you're honest about something, people can deal with the truth. When you hide it and they find out later, the trust is already ruined.
Yes.
So put it out there. If they don't accept you, that's not where you're meant to be. So once I did that, and I was like, wow, not everybody's going to treat me badly. It was better.
Wow. But having to see that must have taken some time.
Sure. Yeah. Because some people just don't say anything. They look at you and just, oh, okay. I get it sometimes today too. Like, you went to prison. But I don't feed on the negative. And it's not always negative. It's their misunderstanding that criminals are just bad people. And we're not. We're good people that made a mistake. So
how did your family deal with it? Because let's be honest, once you go to prison, it's not just you dealing with that. It's the family. It's like being sick. The family also has to deal with that. They are also sick.
To be honest, I have to give a shout out to my family, because the families suffer so much more than we do. They don't know our day to day, that we're actually okay. Christmases, birthdays, Sunday lunches, it must have been horrendous for them. And they were supportive as much as they could be, but I think it really, really destroyed them a little bit. But now we're on the path of healing. We talk about it. I could never talk about it with them before. And I'm hoping that when my book comes out next year, they read it and see all the detail. And then it will be a release for them.
Friends in prison. I'm sure you must have had some. Are you still in contact with them?
I've got fabulous friends from prison. Most of them are actually wardens.
Yes.
They still come to the salon to have their hair done. We're in contact with them. The guy that's in charge of the parole, the chairman of the parole board, he actually put my picture up from the fair lady to say this is an example of how we should turn our lives around. So they really are fabulous people. They're not just wardens. They're women, they're mothers, they're wives. So I connected with them on such hectic levels. How can we not have a relationship now? And then we have a little bit of a support thing with some of the female. I've got them all on Facebook. So we chat and giggle, and life goes on.
Very quickly, how long ago has this been? Now in total?
In April, I'll be home 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
That is not a long time.
Wow, yeah. It feels like forever.
I know it feels like forever, but let's be honest, 10 years, that is not a long time for you to have changed your life and yet have come out where you are today, to look back on it and go, oh my goodness. If not for that, I would not be here.
At the end of the day, I wanted to honor God. He saved me. End of story. End of story. He saved me, and I wanted to give back. And in order for me to do that, I had to catch up, and quickly. I had a son that I wanted him to be proud of me again and support him. And I wanted to get married and have a normal life. So I needed to get a few little things together so that I would be, whole again.
Oh, I like that. And then you also mentioned a daughter that you had to give up for adoption. Yes. I'd like to find out a little bit more about her in just a little bit. And I have to say that purely just so people can understand that the bubbly, wonderful person that we're chatting to, who is so happy and who is so extremely positive, you have suffered. You've had the toughest of times. Everyone, we cannot compare tough times. That's just how it is. It is the truth. But, you went to Pollsmoor prison, turned your life around. You were in your mid-20s, and you said that not too long ago, actually about 4 weeks ago, so about a month ago, you met the magistrate that sentenced you at the time. Why did you decide to go and meet him?
It's such a negative job. You've got to put people in prison, but it's tough love, like a parent. And I was so rude to this man.
When you were young? At the time?
At the time, when he sentenced me, I still said to him, do you know who my family is? You won't have a job on Monday. Who does that? He could have actually... Sure. No, I was so cheeky. He could have actually have given me... It was contempt of court. And he moved his mic away and he said to me, one day, Miss Mangard, you're going to come and thank me. I have never forgotten that moment. And, every now and again, I'll say to God, is there anything I need to clean out? Is there something else I still need to do, And this has been on my heart to go to this man and find him. Strangely, when I went to the court, Murphy's Law, there's no record of me ever being sentenced.
Oh, my word.
But I was on a mission. So I went down passages that I recognized and I saw the name on a door. And I thought, I'm just going to go in. Anyway, he was sitting at his desk. He's now the senior magistrate. And I said, oh, my word, it's you. Anyway, we had a moment. He recognized my voice, of course. And he said he never forgot me, which I found quite strange because I'm sure he sentences loads of people.
Many.
But he said he remembered me being cheeky. But more importantly, he went back home that day and he said, God, did I do the right thing by sentencing this girl? And God said yes. And so he never forgot the moment. So it was so emotional that day. We're now on WhatsApp and he sends me inspirational messages. I mean, how cool is that?
That is.
So I just thanked him.
That is phenomenal,
Yes.
phenomenal. But something you mentioned off air, and just
Yes.
in closing, I'd like you to share that, is that, you know, you might have been in prison at the time, but there are
Yes.
walls that we build around ourselves all the time and
Absolutely.
build in our heads.
Yeah, you know, I might have had to go to the building. That's how God works with me. But we create our own prisons. We don't let go. We hold grudges. We don't forgive. You know, sometimes it's just not worth it. And so you create a prison. Learn to walk away, learn to forgive, and learn to just not hold on. And then, you know, most of the time we've got to take responsibility for maybe not our actions, but our reactions. And then you don't have a prison anymore. So I feel my story, even though I went to the building, it can touch a lot of people's lives that never even went to prison.
Oh, that is so, so beautiful. Andrea, how can we get hold of you? You do motivational talks as well?
I do. I have an agent who is... I've just lost my train of thought.
Don't worry. Just tell us where we can get hold of you on. How can we
Speakers
contact
Incorporated. There's an email, a website called andreahendrick.co.za. And you can reach me at Step Ahead Salon on 021 797 2499. We do a lot more than hair there. If you want to pop in and have a cup of coffee and chat, that's also cool. And then my cell number, I mean, I'm open to anybody that just, you know, wants any help.
There you have it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to post her details on my Facebook page, Tracey Lange on Facebook. You'll know where to get hold of her. Andrea, well done. Well done. Stepping away from all of that and realizing that all of this, the power's in your hands. We've got messages coming through. One from Sharon saying, you are an amazing woman. Your son was in her class and she's so proud of you.
That touches me.
Ilse Kleinans saying, true woman of virtue.
Oh.
People applauding you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me here, because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about touching other people's lives, and that's all I really want. It's such an honor to be here.
Oh, it is wonderful. Wonderful to chat to you. I wish we could chat even longer. Andrea Hendrick, I'll post all the details on Facebook. Hiding in Public. Finished.